Hey Math 2, this is Mr. Roberts, and as promised, I'm going to be stepping through some of the homework sets that we have in Chapter 5. This first set began at question 4 and goes all the way down to question number 9. Question 4 says, investigate the graph of y equals x squared minus 8x plus 7 by answering the graph investigation questions. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try and plot and see what this looks like. So I am going to start with an x value of 0. So just to review how this works is I'm going to give this function a value of x, and that will get plugged into the function. I'm going to square x, and then I'm also going to multiply x by 8 and subtract that from the squared value of x, and then I'm going to add 7 to it. So for example, if I take, first of all, consider x is 0. When I take 0 and square it, that would give me 0. And when I take 0 and multiply it by negative 8, I get 0. So I've got minus 0. And then finally a plus 7. So when x is 0, this function produced an output value of positive 7. So I'm going to place a small dot right there on my graph, and I'm going to just keep track of these. The next value I'm going to do is I'm going to go over when x is 1. When I square 1, I get 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Minus 8 times 1, that would be a minus 8. And then add a 7. Well, 1 minus 8 is negative 7. And negative 7 plus 7 is 0. So when I plug 1 in for x, I get 0 out of this function. Probably it would be nice to maybe look at a little bit more organized table of values. I'm not sure why I'm writing this down. I just do know that for a fact it's better to organize yourself in some way, right? So x's and then I find the y's. So when x was 0, we got a 7. When x was 1, we found that when x was 1, y was 0. Let's try it for 2 now. If I plug 2 in here, 2 squared is going to become the number 4 minus 8 times 2 is 16. So I've got 4 minus 16. And I'm going to add to that the number 7. That 7 and 4 is 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 16, let's see, 11 and negative 16 should be negative 5. So I believe at 2, when x is 2, this function's hitting the value of negative 5. So 2 goes to negative 5. Let's go to 3. 3 squared is 9, and negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Negative 24 plus 7. If I combine 9 and 7, that's 16. And then 24 minus 16 is the number 8. So when I plug in the number 3, I get a negative 8. So 3, negative 8. If I plug in 4, I've ran out of room here. Let me erase. Not a good idea to erase, but I'm going to erase these. I'll keep this record over here. So if I bring a 4 in and I square that, 4 squared is 16. And then negative 8 times 4. And I'm going to add to that 7. So 16 minus 32 plus 7 is negative 9. So at positive 4, I'm plotting the point here. And let's go to 5. So 5 squared is 25. And then minus 8 times 5 is minus a 40. Then minus 40 plus 7. Let's see. That would be positive 32 if I combine those two positive ones. 32 and minus 40, which would be negative 8. So at this point, because I've just hit this, I am pretty sure I understand the axis of symmetry. These just lined up too well. In fact, this right here is the axis of symmetry. I believe that this is the vertex. The vertex is at 4, negative 9. And if I take a look at this, the rest of the points, I'll check one more of the points just to make sure. In fact, let me check this one more point with a calculator. I'll bring the calculator over here. Let's check the point 6. And I predict that with 6, I should get a value of -5. Let's just verify if that's correct. So I'm going to take 6 and we're going to square that. And then I'm going to subtract 8 times 6. And then I'm going to add 7. And when I do get the -5. So this value right here is -5. And I can just exploit this axis of symmetry then, because if I go over one more, I'm going to be hitting 0 at +7. And if I go over one more, all the way up at 8, I'm going to be hitting, I'm going to hit +7 for y. So 8, 7 is also a point on there. At this point, I probably should go ahead and sketch the curve. I don't know that I'm very good at this. Let me try and sketch this. I'm going to try and come around here. Oops. Okay, so some things that we've talked about, I've already identified the vertex. This dashed line is my axis of symmetry. And it is the line x equals the number 4. So x equals 4 is my axis of symmetry. I also have a couple x-intercepts, right? Here's one of my x-intercepts when x is 7, y is 0. And the other one's just a cross over there when x is 1, y is 0. So I have two x-intercepts. And I also have a y-intercept right here, right? When x is 0, y is the number 7. So this is a y-intercept. This parabola is opening upwards. And it has a minimum value. Like that minimum value is right down there at the vertex. So when I plug in 4, the function produces -9, and that's the smallest value that'll come out of it. What else can we say about it? I think that's pretty much it. So this is the parabola from question 4.